Let me go back to square one. How did you meet FVR?
How did I meet FVR?
Hindi pa siya Pangulo.
No,
di ba?
no,
Not
no.
yet.
I actually met him through Angel,
Okay.
his daughter Angel Ramos,
All right.
before he became president.
Uh-huh.
Way before he became president.
Was he military still, or was he Secretary of Defense already?
I'm getting senior moments. I'm not quite sure,
Sorry.
but I do know my first real encounter with him was at EDSA.
All right.
Was
86.
because yes, 86. 86 was when I really had an interaction with him.
What was first impression like? Yeah, you met him through Angel. You knew him, dad of Angel.
Yes.
That one. But were there other impressions? Were there other?
I think I was greatly influenced by my father's impression of him,
Okay.
because my dad was a former guerrilla. So I mean, he knew the military people. He was building swimming pools for the armed forces of the Philippines. And I remember when I was first approached to see if I would help with the campaign of for presidency of President Ramos.
Oo.
I went to my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad,
Oo.
Cecil Manican just called me to say that they're all volunteering to put together a campaign team for Ramos for president. What do you think of him?" And my dad said, without any hesitation, my father said, "Support that man. He said, in all the years that I've been working with the armed forces, building their swimming pools, he says, there were two striking people under whose administrations or supervision there was never a hint of corruption." And that was, he said, General Fidel Ramos,
Okay.
and the other one was General Espino. He pointed out these two, and he said, he says he's a good military man. He's a graduate of, was it Annapolis?
West Point.
West Point. He's a West Pointer. He is disciplined. He's very bright. He says, "Maan, we need somebody like him for this country."
Right, right.
So I wasn't really with La Casa. I wasn't with any political party because I had no political affiliation.
Yeah.
But my father said, "Take time off and make sure that you can help him."
How long were you?
How long was the campaign? Was it like
Well,
what?
officially 90 days.
Yeah,
Starts
but yeah,
February.
about 90 days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, about 90 days.
Did you get in before that? Because he and Speaker Mitra were vying for the.
Yes, it was before that, so it was longer. As a matter of
right.
fact, Lupita Kashiwahara,
All right.
Lupita Aquino, was a very good friend of mine. We
Oh,
have
okay.
a group called Women in Media.
All right.
And so Lupita and I found each other at odds because she was pushing for Mitra,
Speaker Mitra.
Speaker Mitra, and I
right.
was pushing for Ramos. So, we were campaigning among our friends.
Right.
No, you gotta support Ramos. No, you gotta support Mitra. And we said, the true test of friendship is if you can overcome political differences, because until today, Lupita and I are very good friends. We were able to withstand that.
Okay. So it weathered the
It
weathered the
weathered that.
politics of
Yes.
the day.
And remember during the debates, the presidential debates, so Lupita would be working for Mitra and I would be working for Ramos, and even the TV people are saying, "Oh my God, to coordinate with both Lupita Kashiwahara and MAAN Hontiveros, at different opposite
Right,
camps,
right.
it's quite a challenge."
And both of whom knew what their tradecraft was for media, no?
Yes, yes.
Interesting. Let me get back to 96, a few years before that, because you did say that your first interaction,
86, you mean?
86, well, your first interaction was with then defector,
Yes.
Vice Chief of Staff
Yes.
and Constabulary Chief Fidel Ramos. How did that happen?
Well, we had taken over Channel 4
Yes,
TV,
okay.
and we had renamed it People's Television.
Correct.
So after we had been on the air for a long time, people started coming to the studio, volunteering to take over. Mitos Villarreal said, I think there's nobody covering General Ramos and Enrile. So we better bring an OB van to them. I said, how are we going to do it? We didn't even know where the keys to the OB van were. So we called the people of Channel 4. We got some technicians, and we said, just hotwire the OB van. And let's get it to Aguinaldo, to Ramos and Enrile.
Yeah.
And we had to literally walk that OB van through the crowds from Channel 4 to Camp Aguinaldo. And we finally got through the crowds. We got inside the gate. We brought it up there, and I ran up to tell General Ramos that we have an OB van for you, and we can broadcast you now live, So I expected him to welcome us with open arms. He was angry. He shouted at me and he said, "What's wrong with you people in Channel 4? He says, "This is a war going on and everybody's there talking like they are political analysts." He says, "And your telephones are tied up." I was so scared. And I guess I was tired, no sleep and everything. And I had expected a warm welcome. Instead, I get a verbal scolding. I started to cry.
Oh, in front of him?
In front of him. And yung pala, he
Okay.
cannot stand tears. He really cannot stand tears when he saw me crying. Okay, I'm ready now. Yung change the topic, change the topic.
That was 4 days of EDSA. PTV was taken over day 2?
Yeah, day 2.
Day 2, ano?
Yeah, day 2.
And that was when you
We had
hotwired an OB van, ran
Br-
it through
the crowds.
the dense crowds.
Yeah, to the desk. We had to actually intimidate a gasoline owner because he didn't want to give us gasoline. So, I jumped out of the van and I told the people, "Ayaw kaming bigyan ng gasolina, oh. Pupunta kami sa kay Ramos at kay Enrile." So the crowd went, "Bigyan ng gasolina, bigyan ng gasolina." And they gave us gasoline so we could go. So, I mean, having gone through that, I was feeling so, this is a real contribution, and thinking I'd get a pat in the back. Instead, I got scolding.
You get the scolding.
Scolding from FVR.
Uh-huh.
I was so upset.
Okay. How did he recover? I mean,
He just kind of changed the topic and said he was ready to be interviewed. Ganon lang.
he said, yes, let's
he
do
said,
this.
Okay. But he doesn't like to deal with tears, as people who know him.
Okay.
No.
What was that? You did the first interview. Was that you?
It was coverage. It was a coverage.
But you were acting as OB band manager, field production unit, executive producer. What was that like? I mean,
It was like you just gotta do what you gotta do,
Okay.
So after we had done that with FVR, the OB van, the team stayed already to do the
Yes,
coverage.
yes.
Alis na naman kami ni Mitos Villarreal. What do we do next? We said,
Okay.
let's go back to the TV station. So we went back to the TV station, and then it's a little blurred now, but I remember. We had to prepare for the oath taking of Tita Cory.
Mrs.
Tita-
Aquino,
Yeah,
February 25.
25
Right,
for
noon.
February. Yeah, at noon.
Noon
At-
at Club.
At Club Filipino, yes. At first, we were told that it was going to be in Camp Aguinaldo. So we had told the cameramen to show up at Camp Aguinaldo. I went home and freshened up a bit. But then, on my way back there, I found out it was not in. Somebody called me at home and said, "It's not in Camp Aguinaldo. It will be in Club Filipino."
Yes.
So I said, "Tell the crew to meet in Club Filipino." But apparently they didn't get the message, so they went all the way to Aguinaldo and back. By the time they got to the Club Filipino, the oath taking was about to start. And in the
Oh my.
meantime, I was hustling the freelance cameraman there. Can we have your footage for Channel 4?
yes,
Can we
yes,
have your
yes,
footage?
yes.
And the Bongo Ferraran said, "Yes, you can have my footage." Fortunately, the crew of Channel 4 arrived just in time
On
before
time.
the oath taking.
Yes.
So we were able to film that oath taking. It was close to noon, wasn't it?
Yes,
yeah,
it
was
was.
close to
Uh-huh.
noon. Then we had to run it back to the TV station. That we didn't have an OB van, and we didn't have any microwave to the station.
Right.
So we had to physically again run the tape. Mitos and I, we were hitching a ride, running part of the way to get to the TV station.
Right.
handed it over to Johnny Manahan and said, here's the tape of Cory being sworn in. And he says, hurry, go in there and grab a mic. Because everybody else was already talking like, as FVR said, as political analysts, right? So I go in there, and I had to literally grab a mic from one of the women who was talking at the time. And I said, now we'd like to bring you the oath-taking of President Corazon Aquino. And they made salang the tape.
Yes.
Then we hear this shouting from the booth of Sina Johnny Manahan. I ran up again to the back to take a look at what's happening. And that was the exact point when the snipers had killed the transmitter of Channel 13. Remember, they killed the transmitter of Channel 9 and 13 and cut the broadcast of Marcos.
Oh, yeah, because he was being sworn in.
He was being
as
sworn
well.
in. They were waving at the balcony.
Yes,
So instead of the screens went black, and people changed channels and they saw the swearing in of Cory on Channel 4.
So ano talaga, no? Fortuitous events.
It was fortuitous. I mean, you could not have timed it.
Yeah.
There was no way to have timed that.
What was the coordination like with your recall of, then newly liberated People's Television with General Ramos?
I don't know what remember, he was precisely complaining because he could not communicate with us because our telephones were always tied up.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, keep the lines free. This is a war going on. You know, he says, I have to be able to communicate with you. So I don't know. I think you could ask Johnny Manahan what the communications were thereafter, because we were running all over the place.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Fast forward a few years later. What happened in between? In between proclamation, the initial scolding.
Yeah, the initial scolding. Yeah.
And then eventually you're meeting up with, or you're volunteering for candidate Ramos.
Oh, that was like
of Lakas, no?
4 years later, no?
Yeah.
That's a long time later. That's why I asked my dad, what kind of a man is he? No, I mean, I only knew him as Angel's dad, right? And my father says, he is the best leader for us at this time in our history. We need discipline in the country. We need somebody that can put the country together. And he said, and this man, he says, you know, is really, well, he was steady Eddie, they call him,
Right.
He's a consensus builder. And the other thing my father said is, don't forget, he's an engineer. Engineers know how to fix things.
They're built that way. Huh?
Their brains are wired that way. They find solutions.
Yeah.
You know? So it's not just pointing out the problems, it's really finding the solutions.
And you saw that early on during the campaign. How did you see it? I mean, how did it manifest?
Like, for instance, before, I was asking him, anyway, this is recorded for history, right? So I was asking him before, sir, di ba you said we're not tradpoles.
Okay.
We're not for traditional politics. How come we're with a tradpole? He says, what do you mean? The Venetia, di ba? Traditional politician yan. And he says, you need seasoned politicians to be able to navigate the political scene.
All right.
Sabi niya, we can't just be shooting from the hips on our own, di ba? And he said, and that's why that's what he explained to me, why we were with the Venetia. Because I always associated him with the old politics, di ba? What's the difference between him and Mitra, right?
Right. Yes.
Speaker Mitra, Speaker de Venetia. I mean, and I'll never forget that, you know, because at that point I tended to be very judgmental, you know, black or white. But he said, no, each one plays his role, you see.
Oh, okay. So hindi divisive.
Hindi siya divisive. He knows how to put people together. And immediately after he won, I mean, he reached out immediately to all the others.
Right.
Because he, at that point, one of the things I also remember him saying is that I am now the president of all the people, not just of the people who voted for me. I wish some of our politicians would hear that.
Yeah.
You know, listen to that.
Do the same. And do the same. Oh.
I am the president of all the Filipinos.
Reach out, he would reach out,
Yeah.
find consensus where there was strife or controversy.
Mm-mm.
Was that something you saw early on? I mean, you saw it with Joe de Venecia.
Yeah.
Or did you see
Yes.
it just as a
Oh,
necessary
okay.
evil?
I have another.
or-
No,
or-
I have another really interesting story.
Okay.
This was just after he won.
All right.
Right?
Mhm.
And I know a lot of us were still also shell shocked. We're thinking, we did it.
We
I
did
mean, you
it,
know,
right,
because we had very little resources
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that. So we used to call ourselves like the gang that couldn't shoot straight, right? We had very few resources on our hands. And then he made it. He won. So in one of the meetings that he had with his core group, I happened to be sitting in on that meeting. And after the meeting, they said we transfer to somewhere. I don't know, from one of the headquarters, I think in Pasay Road. We were going somewhere. Then he decides to stop at King Philip, his tailor,
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
because he had gained, I think, weight during the campaign, eating on the road. His golf shorts were already too tight, so I think he wanted to have shorts made. So he stopped there. So everybody stopped, including the media. So he goes in to the tailor. And a little while later, he comes out and he says, embargo, huh? Embargo on pictures. So we're saying, huh? Embargo? Embargo photographs, no photographs.
Okay.
I said, okay, you know, told the media, embargo photographs. Maya-maya, lumabas si Miriam Defensor.
All right.
Yung pala, they were inside in King Philip. He was talking to King Philip, getting his measurement or something, or
Yeah,
asking,
yeah.
how much do I owe you? Then he hears a familiar voice beside him.
Oh my.
It was Miriam Defensor. She had just come out from Makati Med. Remember, she went on hunger strike because she said dinaya siya. So she had come out. And she happened to go also to King Philip to buy pair of pants for her son or something.
All right.
Nagtagpuan sila doon. So he looked at Miriam. So I said, so sir, what did you say? What did you say to
Yeah,
her?
yeah.
I said, hello Miriam, how are you? Sabi ko, what? You embargoed that photo? Sayang. Sabi niya, why sayang? Sabi ko, I can see the headlines. FVR and Miriam meet at tailor's. Miriam has a fit. Sabi niya,
Uh-oh.
and he says, pinagalitan ako. That's not nice. Sabi sa akin, that's not nice. Sabi, why did you embargo that? Sabi niya, well, you know, he says, in these things, you never know what goodwill will come out if you just treat people well. Sabi niya, I didn't want to put her in an embarrassing situation.
Okay.
That's the man that he is.
That was him, ano? That was very him.
That was very
That
FDR.
was very gentleman daw,
Yeah.
sabi nila.
Yeah, gentleman. So,
Okay.
you know,
Your interaction with FBR to that date was really mobilizing media, no? Putting media together. And what was he like to media? I mean, did he give you any specific instructions or guidelines? I mean, you know, keep them at a distance,
No.
or what was it like?
not at all. It was, during the campaign, it was more like scheduling him to make sure you don't tire him out kasi papatayin ninyong manok ninyo. That's the other time that he got mad at me. I think I scheduled too many interviews.
All right.
It was sunod. Uminit yung ulo niya. Nagtapon siya ng paper niya. Planting rice, no? What we call planting rice. And he throws his paper on the floor and then everybody's to go pick it up. Planting rice kayo. That was the other time that I cried also. Because, sabi niya, I already said, don't schedule too many at a time kasi he takes it seriously, his interaction with media. I mean, he
Yeah.
gives it thought
Yes.
to
Yes.
answer their questions well. And it's really very exhausting, especially when you're running a tight schedule.
Right,
And this
right.
was still during the campaign, no? So,
And this wasn't just no, man. This just not local, but there's quite a sampling of
foreign media as well.
media
Yes,
as well,
yes.
right?
And of course, everybody wanted to interview him, and people would get upset with us if we couldn't find a schedule, no,
Right.
to slot them in.
Right.
And so we were trying to accommodate as many as possible,
Right.
because we knew we also needed it for the campaign, no?
Correct.
And the coverage is very, very important. But he never gave any guidelines as don't ask me this or don't ask me that. As a matter of fact, what we were having difficulty with was to make him speak in terms of sound bites. because you know he likes to really explain.
He'd lecture.
No lecture. No, he really wants to explain what he's trying to say.
All right.
You know, so you ask him a question, he'll answer you seriously, but you better listen, no? Eh, marami pa yung history and, you know, and we kept saying, sound bites lang yan. And, you know, talk in sound bites. We never succeeded with that. I remember Jim Paredes was also, I think, helping with that.
Yep.
We would preview his interviews so that we can tell him, boss, in that last interview, masyadong mahaba yung, he says, oh, sige. But he'll still do what he wants to do.
Okay. So
he cannot be handled in that sense.
So you had a message book, and then you had the communication, the messaging statements and all. So he was not one to be expected to stick to it,
No.
He just
No.
really.
Yeah.
But he was familiar with the entire
Oh, yeah.
manual, right?
Yes. I know. I don't know about the manual messaging book.
Yeah.
No, he knew his platform. He
Yes,
knew what he stood
really.
for.
Yeah.
And if you notice, you can ask him any question you want, but he'll give you the answer he wants.
Right.
I mean, if you know, if he's
That's
bent
right.
on giving you the message, he'll get the message through, no matter what question you ask.
And he'd stick
He's
to
good at that.
his message.
Yes. Yes, in that sense, it's sometimes frustrating, no,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a media man, because you want him, you want to catch him at
Right,
his.
right. And you'd want to put him into a certain groove, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't exactly that kind of.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Okay.
but very, very knowledgeable. He reads a lot, and you know, he is curious, intellectually curious. So,
What was the schedule like? I mean,
my God, he
I
would
mean-
wear out his aids. I mean, because he gets up really early in the morning.
yes.
He gets up very, very early in the morning. He already has all his newspapers, clippings to read and all that. And he can go for hours and hours and hours and tire everybody else out. I think another thing he's good at is that he cat naps, no?
Yeah. Real good.
Really good cat
Yeah,
nap. I
yes,
mean,
yes.
I don't know if that's what he learned as a soldier or what, but he can be asleep for like 2 minutes and all of a sudden be wide awake, you know.
Recharge.
Yeah, recharge.
Recharged again. Okay. Yeah, something we learned as well, covering him. Yep. Still in the campaign, how did he take to his opponents? I mean, it was quite a wide field. No? You had Ambassador Cojuangco, you had former First Lady, Marcos, you had Miriam, of course, Feisty and all, Jovi Salonga, Senate President at that time. Who else? Yeah, and of course, Speaker, Speaker Mitra.
Mita.
It was a pretty broad field. I mean, how did he play? I mean, dirty tricks and all, or what was it like? I mean,
If there was, I wasn't part of the dirty tricks department, so I really wouldn't know that. But the way he deals with people, he's very decent. He's a very he doesn't play underhanded ba,
Okay.
walang bastusan,
Okay.
that sort of
Okay.
thing.
and that sort of carried on, ano?
Yes.
He carried it on throughout his,
In fact, we were more rabid. Yeah, I mean, as in a sense, no. I remember Cardinal Sin. Remember when Cardinal Sin, I think, endorsed Mitra or something, and said something disparaging about FVR.
FVR.
I was so upset. I was really, really so upset, and
You wanted to get
Tita-
back?
well, not that I want to get back, but I was just flabbergasted, that
It happened.
yeah, that it happened, and I was thinking, is it because he's not Catholic or whatever? And then Tita De Villa reached out to Rafi Alunan. Rafi tells me, hey, Tita De Villa says we should bring FVR to Cardinal Sin and make them so that he can turn the other cheek. I said, why turn the other cheek? I said, I said, it's unfair what the cardinal said about him. I said, I don't even remember exactly what was said about him. I said, no, it's unfair. I said, then why should he go and, pander to him? Who is, I was really upset. And Rafi says, no, but I have to give the message to FVR,
Right.
So I don't rightly remember, did he ever go see the cardinal? But I remember I was so upset, and I just didn't want him to go and turn the other cheek, no. But we should find out from Tita De Villa what happened.
But he took it in,
He took it in.
He knew how to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And he wasn't exactly. It was only maybe the last week before voting that he actually notched over everyone else.
Yeah.
All throughout, he was an underdog, no? He
Yep.
was an underdog.
Yeah.
He was trailing.
Yeah.
Speaker Mitra, Danding, and Miriam actually were
Yeah.
vying for first.
Yeah.
So run scared. Was it, Was the campaign that way? Run scared,
We were just running. We were just, we gotta just keep
keep
at it. Just keep at it. Just
Oh.
keep at it. No?
Okay. And then election day came. About a month and a half later,
Yeah.
Congress proclaims him
Yeah.
plurality vote of
Yeah.
22%, I
Yeah.
think. No? How did that?
I remember the first time I went to see him in Malacanang.
All right.
Okay. Angel told-
Sworn in na siya.
Yeah, sworn in na siya.
Okay.
And Angel said, "Oh, Dad wants to talk to you." So I
There you
went
go.
over there to Malacanang, and this was like the same Malacanang that I entered on February 25th.
Correct.
It was a mess and everything,
right,
and it
right.
was so full of opulence and that sort of thing. And this, anyway, so I go in there, and there's this. He's there in his neat room and everything. I said, "My God, you really are president, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yes, I really am president." That was so cute. That was really so cute.
When was that? Just shortly after?
Shortly after, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after.
Oh,
Yeah, early
July.
on.
Really
Early
early on.
on, early on.
Kasusumpa pa lang talaga.
Oh, kasusumpalan niya lang.
Mhm.
He goes, "Yes, I really am." He goes, big smile on his face.
Oo.
Because, oh my God, you really are president. Something like that.
I mean, he was looking at 6 years,
Yeah.
down the road.
Oh no, he knew it was buckled down to work.
Okay.
He really knew it was buckled down to work.
Okay.
And that's why he was even saying, anybody who joins me in my cabinet has to take a vow of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Sabi ko, oy, I can do the poverty and the obedience, wag lang yung chastity.
All right. we'll take it at that. All right. Let me ask you, 2-3 weeks into his presidency, was that when the draft came in for you became my board director at PTV, right?
Yes. I think, that was later, wasn't it?
Later pa ba? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That was the only government appointment that I had.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
I told the president, I'm really much better in the private sector. Hindi ko kaya ang government.
So after the campaign, after election and proclamation, you kept out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, much later.
Yeah. He asked if I was interested in a role in government, and I said, no, not really, sir. I'll go back to the private sector kasi sabi ko, I won't last in government. I'm too outspoken,
What did
I'll
you
get
do
into
then?
trouble.
Do you remember what you did?
Ah,
shortly
yes.
after?
Shortly. Wait, I kind of, because I had taken leave from my
From your
company.
work, yes.
And then I didn't really want to go back to it anymore.
Okay.
It was corporate communications and all
Yes,
that.
yes.
Parang once you leave for about 6 months, you realize that I don't want to go back to that, right? What I did was I got recruited to set up Warner Music.
There you are.
Yes.
There,
So I
there,
set
there.
up the company for Warner Music.
So you took on a new
new career,
new
yeah,
career.
new role,
Yeah,
music
yeah,
business,
yeah,
which
yeah.
I really liked, no, because it was helping our artists. It was in the field of music, which I loved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
closer to.
But I stayed close to I stayed close to.
Yeah, what was happening then? I mean.
Then I
you'd
got the
meet-
directorship at PTV4.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
which
right.
was like a trustee of
Yes, yes,
PTV
at
Channel
the
4.
board. How-
So a little once in a while I would do some shows. I
Mm.
think there was a travel show that I did for.
Yes,
That's
yes,
it.
Yes, yes, yes. Was there any instruction as to? I mean, he was pretty big about, the state institution evolving into something else. Did he speak to you about that?
No, our mandate for PTV4 was to make it really a responsible TV station that gives voice to the point of view of government,
Right,
but would not go to the days of propaganda,
Right.
Big Brother thing. No,
Mm-hmm.
that was the mandate that Lulu Illustre and the board had.
Yeah. Tita Lulu.
Make it viable,
Okay, I was going to ask if he had a vision about how public television should be.
Yeah, it
Was
should
that
serve the public interest and public good,
Mm-hmm.
and get them reliable information.
That no. Okay. And then after that, wala na. How long was the stint at PTV?
Just during his presidency,
Yeah. You served out how many years? 4 years?
about
or
4 or 5 years,
4 or
maybe.
5
Yeah,
years. Yeah. Right.
about 5 years. Because I think it was like in his second year that I got
That
appointed.
you got
Yeah.
that you got the appointment. Correct.
Coterminus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Did you get involved with Lakas?
No, not really. The political arms, the CAS
yeah.
NUCD. No, not really.
Mm-mm.
I was somehow never into really politics.
You
No.
kept out of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I would join the fellowships and all those activities, but
As part of the campaigns, I understand.
Oo,
Was it,
yeah.
no? Or
Yes.
the volunteers.
the volunteers,
The
yeah,
volunteers.
just the volunteers, and then we focused on helping Tita Ming with her environmental projects.
There you are.
Yeah, so we did the bridges, lighting up of the bridges,
Yes.
7 bridges, her Pasig River
Yeah.
rehabilitation,
Yes.
and we focused on some of FVR's what was close to his heart. One of the things that he always advocated is no spearfishing with scuba diving.
Oh, which was pretty close to what you
Yes,
enjoyed doing as
yeah,
well. ano?
exactly.
Oh.
So we greatly campaigned on that. It's not a sport when you have an unlimited supply of air and a spear gun against a fish, right? So if you want to spearfish with no scuba tank,
Ah, okay.
with one lung full of air, then
Right,
that's a
right.
sport.
Right.
So advocacies like that, and then giant clam propagation
Right,
in
right.
Pangasinan. He led the seeding of the giant clams in 100 Islands.
Yeah. Lingayen. Yeah.
Lingayen.
Gulf, yeah.
So he was very environmentally conscious and was very happy to use his persona and his office to promote sustainable diving, environmental awareness.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask next. Well, was there any other specific assignments during his stewardship, during his administration that he asked you to do, aside from the PTV posting?
Not
No
really.
special projects.
I think with FVR he expects you as a citizen to do your share and to think about it. You're not supposed to wait for government or for the president to tell you do this. Yeah?
Tell me about that.
Because he said that's real people power and means real people empowerment.
Okay.
Which means that you do not rely on government or anybody else to tell you what good you can do for your community.
Okay.
He said, just, pick up a spade and start shoveling, do whatever you can in your milieu. So, kung mag-iintay ka pa ng assignment sa kanya, ay mapipikon yun. I mean, he's president, why are you gonna make him think for you what you should do, di ba? He has so many other concerns.
Okay.
So, It's always just whatever it is. Make sure that you always think of country, you always think of community, and you always think of what can I do to make things a little better.
Oh.
So that's the general mandate all of us who worked around him got, you know. So whatever field you are, make sure that you think of country and community.
Let me ask you about, this was heading towards the latter part of his administration. And people were saying maybe he needs a few more years. And if you can recall, that was the People's Initiative, Pirma. No? Hopefully, some revisions could be made to the charter.
The Cha-Cha.
So that he could know. Were you involved with that?
Not actively, because Tita Ming didn't want him to run to extend his term.
Right.
And we didn't want to get on the wrong side of Tita Ming. You know?
Right.
Because it's like, I got 6 years is enough. Although I personally believe that 6 years of a good president is not enough.
It's too short.
Yeah. And at his state of health and at his state of, mind, he still had a number of good years to give.
At that time, you know?
Yeah, at that time he could have gone on for another term, but that the law is the law, diba?
Right.
You can't fiddle around with the Constitution.
Tell me what your thoughts were at that time. Because,
For me, sayang.
Talaga?
Yeah. If he had a little bit more time, to really institutionalize all the changes, it would have been good. But that was the constitutional law. So.
Right, as you said, you don't.
And it becomes very personal. What's to prevent somebody else from thinking, well, my president also deserves 2 terms, you know?
Right.
So.
It would have created a precedent that we wouldn't know how to handle later on.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking back, you still did have a lot of interaction with now citizen Eddie.
Yes.
What were those like?
I think in a sense,
98 to present.
98 to present, it's been great. It's been good watching him and getting the affirmation of what we really thought about him anyway. That no matter what state, he would continue to serve. And he showed us that even as a private citizen, there's a lot you can do. So he serves as an inspiration, I would say. I'm turning 70, okay? And I look at him, he's 90 something now. 90, he turned 90.
Right?
He just turned 90. And if I can have 20 active years like he had, then I think my life would have been worth living. No? So sometimes when you're feeling tired, I'm turning 70, I say, yeah, but FVR is 90. Look at him, he's still going.
Right. But he's evolved also, no?
Yeah.
From chief executive, over it all, and then moved on to the role of citizen Eddie.
Yeah.
And not just in the Philippines, no? He's actually seen as a senior leader or senior statesman.
I was able to go with him once to a BOAU conference.
Tell me about that.
And
China.
In China, and I saw how respected he is there, how revered actually he is there, and it makes you proud. It really makes you proud that somebody of his age, and this was only a couple of years ago. I would say about 3 years ago.
Right.
They listen to him. They seek out his advice, and he's able to speak with the Taiwanese as he could speak with the mainland Chinese.
Right.
I mean, he's like a bridge, It's amazing.
What does that speak of the man to you?
Exactly what he is. He's the consensus builder. He's the fixer. He fixes things that don't go wrong, that don't go well. And I think he's able to bring people together. He's able to bring people together.
Hanggang ngayon, ano?
Oo. Hanggang ngayon.
Yeah. And apparently, age is not a hindrance to him.
No.
That is not at all.
No.
Tell me, what would be a typical exchange would be with him? Like, just a while ago when you met up with him, what's it
Oh
like?
no, I asked him a big favor. I can't tell you about it
Okay,
until
not
it
that. Okay,
happens.
but,
yeah.
but you know, whatever.
No, but
I mean,
yeah,
when
I
you
ask
do-
him
when you do-
advice
when
on
you do
things
meet
as
him-
well. Yeah,
Okay.
I ask him advice on things. Sometimes I give him also a hard time. This is happening. Why don't you speak up? But the nice thing about it is that you can at least you can talk to him about it, and
Yeah.
he'll
Yeah.
reason out with you.
Mm. You're into very much into private business
Yeah.
as well, Maan. Are there times when you come over to him and yeah, exactly that, I mean, why don't you step in, at least set this fellow right or set that fellow right?
No, I usually I speak to him usually in matters of policy.
All right. Okay.
What would you think of this? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Would it be good for the country or whatever? That's where I seek advice from him.
And how does he take it?
He listens very
Stop coming
carefully,
to
and
me
then
and
he'll
then-
say, "No,
Talaga? Okay.
no, I don't think he's been masungit lately, no."
Lately, okay. I'm thinking that's the operative word there. Lately, was he masungit before?
I told you when we scheduled too many things for him, and he gets masungit, no? Because he said, pinapatay yung manok.
Just a few more things. Was there something he could have done better? I mean,
I'm sure there was.
He just had 6 years.
Yeah, but
Was there something
I'm sure
he could have done better?
I'm sure there was, but I can't think of anything specific. But I'm sure if you asked him, I'm sure he would probably say, yes, I could have done more things, some things better.
Or was there something lacking? 6 years.
Kulang nga yung 6 years.
Other than the sense that,
yeah,
it
kulang
was
yung
not
6
enough.
years. Yeah.
Talaga. What would we have been? I don't know, but that's an if.
Yeah, speculative.
Let's not work on that. Okay, just maybe finally, what would be, to your mind, the FBR legacy? Or what would be his?
I know it
greatest-
might sound trite, but his mantra, no? Unity, solidarity, teamwork, caring, sharing, and daring. I mean, those things he really lived, and he would drum it into us. Unity, solidarity, and teamwork. That's the only way we can succeed. I think that's the legacy that he leaves behind.
And that was even, always,
Consistent since
Consistent.
day one.
And even when there was controversy,
Yeah.
Fine. People are supposed to disagree.
Yes.
People are supposed
Yeah.
to.
But at the end of the day,
Right.
let us unite towards, one goal. We all know we're headed in the same area. We might disagree about how to get there, but once we have decided a course of action, it's unity, solidarity, teamwork. The one good thing I learned from him also is complete staff work.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
Tell me
that
about
has served me well in the
Okay.
private sector.
Right.
Is learning about that
Right.
complete staff work. You don't bring something to him half-cocked, or unfinished, or not thought of. Kasi yung magpa-planting rice kayo.
How did that happen the first time? I mean, when he said it's not complete.
No, that I told you the time he made me cry.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Tapon siya ng paper. Kulot.
Okay. And that served actually as,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
served actually as the learning
Yeah.
experience.
It's a learning experience, yeah.
And henceforth,
Yeah.
just about everyone had it, diba?
Yeah.
In the cabinet, everyone who had
But
to
then-
work with him.
And then, I was thinking, I wonder if how he'll kind of send the signal that I'm not mad at you anymore, Because usually you'd say, okay, forget about it, no? He doesn't verbalize it that way, eh. So, it was like, I think a couple of hours later, pinatawag ako. Sabi ko, he just made me cry. I'm going there like that. He says, oh, you sit down there muna. He says, so I sat down there. Tapos, signing papers. Sige, okay. That was not his way of saying,
That
okay,
was
I'm
it,
sorry.
Right.
Di ba?
Right. Right.
Wala, pinaupo lang ako dyan muna.
Mm. Mm.
Then he looked up, smiled at me. Okay, tapos na. Bati na.
That was it.
That was it.
Oh. He just had to get the steam off. No?
Yeah.
Something I'm
Hindi,
also-
mali nga naman eh. I should not have packed his schedule that way.
Right. Oh wow, that was really early on. Hindi pa siya pangulo noon. No? Yeah. Something I'm getting from all the female members of his cabinet. I think he was a bit more lenient with.
With the girls?
Oh, I mean, he wasn't. He didn't get as mad as he was
He does
with the
not
boys.
like to see tears.
Oh,
He
okay.
doesn't like to see crying eh.
Okay. So the boys.
And then don't forget, I mean, he grew up with his 5 daughters, no?
Right. So yeah, he had a lot of He had
He had
a
a lot of
experience.
experience with women crying,
with the
maybe.
girls.
I don't know. Although Tita Ming doesn't look like the type to cry, no?
I'm good
Okay,
actually. Thank
me
you
too.
very much.
Okay, thank you.